For hot takes for Commander, a popular request. So I'm gonna go over my hot take, which was apparently not too hot. A lot of people actually resonate with this idea that we need another ban list for Commander. And some might say, well, what's wrong with the original ban list? Rule 0, blah blah blah. But fact of the matter is, it is a completely unhinged ban list, full of these insanely broken cards, and a lot of casual players like to point fingers at other different cards instead of the fast mana, which is I don't want to say plaguing the format, but if you're looking for more funsy games on a slower pace, then you have to do away with these artifacts like Soul Ring. Any mana ramp that adds more mana than you paid into it. So Soul Ring, Mana Vault, Grim Monolith, Mox Diamond, for example, Mana Crypt. These cards, like Mana Crypt, you spend 0 and you can get 2 mana out of it. And I even made a little bit of a meme here. We've got the Soul Ring shooting down the Lu Bu, and then Soul Ring says, "Why would Iona do this? Why would Iona be doing this? Iona, Shield of Emeria." I think a lot of clunky cards like Biorhythm, Iona, maybe even Paradox Engine wouldn't be nearly as good if you don't have this insane free mana running around the format. So going back to this, and now the instant rebuttal a lot of people have is, well, Nikachu, if you banned all the artifact mana, if you banned all the free mana, then the mana dorks are just going to take over. You know, something like Llanowar Elves, green is going to be the best color. Where's Llanowar Elves? Eden says, I've been here for 6 hours waiting for the stream. Here it is. We're going to talk about if you have any hot takes on Commander, let us know and let's discuss them. Now, competitive formats don't have a problem with mana dorks for the most part. I mean, you play a mana dork and it just dies. I mean, that's the whole deal. It's a lot harder to kill off a Soul Ring, off a Mana Vault. I mean, especially since those cards, these don't have summoning sickness. You play your Mox Diamond, you immediately get value out of it. You play a Mana Dork, you don't get value out of that immediately. You have to wait an entire turn, and by then, that Mana Dork might be dead. It gets hit by all the creature sweepers. Of course, you've got to have some removal in your commander decks, and the Llanowar Elves, amongst all the other Mana Dorks, are going to get hit by the splash damage. Now, another thing about the artifact mana, some might say, well, since when in Magic the Gathering do they have like 2 separate ban lists to slow down the format? And well, that's why we have Legacy instead of Vintage. The difference between Legacy and Vintage is that Legacy is banned the most atrocious of the fast mana, like Black Lotus, like all the Moxen, Mox Emerald, Mox Jet, Mox Pearl, Mox Ruby, Mox Sapphire. All of these are banned in Legacy, and it slows. So Vintage can go off on turns 1 and 2, and Legacy more or less goes to turns 3, 4, and 5. And the same thing goes for Modern. Like, where's Modern here? Modern was a turn faster when they had things like Mox Opal legal, but then it got banned. Things like where is it? One of them wasn't even legal in the first place. Chromox. I think that was banned instantly. And then Simian Spirit Guide. Simian Spirit Guide acted like, you know, like a temporary piece of fast mana, but ramped up the format by 1 entire turn. So Simian Spirit Guide by itself also speeds up the format. So if you want slower games, you want more sane games, I mean, I think a lot of people are pointing fingers at big, expensive cards, even Sylvan Primordial, when they really should be looking at these cards. These are the real problems. And if you want to slow the format down, I mean, this is realistically what you have to do. And by the way, you can have your signets all you want, in my opinion. You can go for it. Have all the signets that you can desire. That is relatively fair. But anything that makes more mana than you spend on it, I don't think is nearly as fair. Good afternoon, Chuck Norris. I'm feeling great, Dio. Thank you very much for asking. In addition to that, What else do I have to say on this topic? Chuck's like, I'm right there with you. Oh, one more thing I wanted to say is that I think this is not having a new ban. By the way, I'm not saying this replaces the original Commander. If you want to play completely unhinged Commander, go for it. Go. I mean, that's what Yu-Gi-Oh is for. That's what Vintage in Magic the Gathering is for. It's completely unhinged, crazy nonsense. But I wouldn't complain so much if things don't go your way because people are just ramping things like nuts. But hey, if you like that style of Magic, go for it. But I think there's a lot of people that don't like that style of Magic, and Rule 0 can't cover everything. But in addition to that, I think competitive players should like a new ban list, something that's more tame and sane instead of this completely unhinged nonsense. If you want to really try to leverage your skill, you have to do it without the fast mana. Fast mana just creates like free wins. There's no skill to that, especially if you go, the more free mana there is in the format, the more powerful it is to be going first before somebody else, because you can get way far ahead of anybody else, way far ahead of the next person, because you have so much mana available before they do. But if you're more or less have to be like play land go, then the pace of the game is slower, and people who go after you have more opportunity to catch up. I feel like it's pretty healthy in Commander right now. Well, I mean, it all depends on your play group. There's also, I don't know if this is necessary, but you could, in theory, make another ban list that also encompass, like, I don't know if you should just ban all the reserve list cards, because I know that's an issue still. I mean, that's an issue for Legacy players. But it also can be an issue for Commander players. So if you like got rid of all the reserve list cards, you would have like an entirely new format where everything is in theory affordable, but probably not. Critical turn in Commander should be 5 to 6. I think the critical turn in competitive Commander is more like 3 to 4. My playgroup has decks at different levels. John says, I happened to crack a mana crypt from my mystery booster. My playgroup changed the ruling to 6 damage instead of 3 upon losing a flip because crypt is that strong. Good God, that's how you want to balance it out? How about you? You could, okay, that's fair, I guess. Yeah, the damage from mana crypt is like very irrelevant when you have 40 life, because you're just going to combo off anyway. And it's just my opinion that there's a lot of expensive cards on the ban list that are just there because you can, in theory, ramp them out. But if you couldn't ramp into them so quickly, so easily, then it wouldn't be so relevant. And I think the idea that if green would be the best color because of their mana dorks and their ramp cards is a pretty smooth brain take, especially since I think it's still fine to play with some artifact ramp, so long as you're spending just as much as you are getting out of it. Richard Garfield, PhD, would be a would be a fun commander. Okay, but if anyone else has any hot takes, to the floor with all of you. What if we had another format that started at Masks block? Oh man, I can't think of a Mercadian Masks card. Because Masks block is when they stop playing with, they stop making reserve list cards. Sorry, this is the only Masks block card I can think of from the start. Richard Import. Add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. Pay 1, tap target land. Fast mana completely ruins the idea of running a deck on a curve. Oh yeah, there is no curve for as long as there is fast mana. Thing costs 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No problem. Iona, Shield of Emeria, no problem. Yeah, my meme. Soul Ring, I think the fast mana blows away a lot of other cards, a lot of other commanders and decks in general. But you know, I understand, like, there's a lot of people, they like the fast mana. They're like, don't take away my Soul Ring, Nikachu. Don't do it. And if you love the format as it is with the Soul Ring, see, everyone's like, this is what creates a lot of problems, but at the same time, no one wants to take it away. Everyone wants to play vintage Magic at a casual level. And I guess, like, you know, if you guys can all agree on that, and you can still enjoy each other, you know, enjoy the gameplay as it is, then I guess it's fine. But when as players get more competitive and they, you know, they destroy you by turns 3 and 4, there's a lot, you know, it's a feel bad moment. John says, I completely agree. I run both Crypt and Jeweled Lotus in my Vorinclex deck, and turboing them out on turn 1 can be annoying for my opponents. Absolutely. CEDH players should do back to Modern Legacy if they want to swim. Well, I mean, hey, let's get one thing out of the way. There's always going to be competitive and casual players at anything. Now, I know there's, reading my comment section, a lot of people believe, you know, EDH is a casual format. It was made by casual players. It should be only casual. But you cannot prevent people who want to play to win. You just can't prevent that. And you're going to find there's going to be a spectrum of people who want to play to win and people who want to play for fun everywhere, even in competitive Magic. If I go to a Grand Prix, if I go to FNM, there's going to be a pool of players who are playing to win. They're serious. They've net decked. They've play tested their deck. And then there's people who are just playing somewhat jank. Maybe they did net deck, but they changed out 8 cards to their own personal preference. And if they can win 2 games out of 4 or 5, that's good for them. But at least in competitive Magic, the one thing that rules them all is the ban list, and they understand the game. They know what they're getting into when they play that FNM. And if they win only 2 games out of 5 matches against the better players, then that's just how it is. And the same thing is in Commander. You can't prevent people who want to play to win in the format. Good afternoon, Lord Magicus. Prime time needs to be unbanned in Commander. I have no idea if it's a good or bad idea. It is a tutor. It tutors things into play, so. CEDH is separate from EDH. It has always been that way. Is it? Is it? You know, the more I look at a CEDH discourse, the more it just looks like it's EDH at a higher power level. I would say, now, I don't mean to be gatekeeping here, but if you have Rule 0 to accommodate someone's casual interest, it's no longer that competitive. It's like more casual level it's like casual Magic at a higher power level. Maybe everyone has a different perception of what CEDH means, but like, it's not like I'm going to go to a tournament and then not play with tier 1 decks so that other people can have a better playing experience. The only thing that adopts people's playing experience, at least in tournaments, is the ban list. You want to create a better culture for the format, then you ban the right cards in order to make that happen. But I mean, you're either playing to win or you're not, as far as I'm concerned. The way I look at it. Magic is a competitive card game, and I think a lot of the issue comes in when people project a D&D idea of collective storytelling onto that competitive game. But that's fine. If they're kitchen table Magic players, I think that's completely fine. And you're going to just need the right play group to, you know, want to tell that story if you want to tell it. Trevor's like, agreed. Ban. I don't know what we're talking about, but ban the island. Nathan says, sorry, but if you say you don't play to win at least a little, you're full of it. Yes, the game itself is fun, but you all want to win. To be honest, Nathan, I have encountered so many people who have absolutely no intention of winning. You know, either they play those group hug decks or they play a deck that can't win, but they just want it to go off. And then if it goes off, with no intention of actually doing anything, they're happy, and then they'll concede, and then, you know, that's that. There are some players out there, they have no intention of winning whatsoever. They just want their deck to do their thing. It's a bit of a weird dynamic. And in that case, you're best to be playing with players who don't want to win whatsoever, or win very, very, very slowly. As a Legacy player, Rule 0 sounds so weird to have different ban lists. I mean, in some sense, you know, your play group creates your own ban list. But at the moment, there's like only one ban list for everybody. And I don't think it covers all different types of players. I also, in my opinion, I think it's a skillless ban list because of all the fast mana. More fast mana equals less skillful games. Because you have less to think about. You know, you get 4 drops by turn 2. That's insane. Agent says, I'm new to Magic. My friends got me into it. I can only play with my friends, naturally. I'm bad, so I play to get better against my friends who have played for years. Excellent idea. And here's Lord Magic has got the right idea. Ban the fast mana. But I really don't want to replace the current ban list, because I totally get it. There are people who love to play with fast mana. They love to play that sort of unhinged Magic. And I think that's cool and that's fine. There's a lot of people who like to play vintage Magic as it is, as it stands. Okay, as we get more into this discussion, give a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you like it, or dislike it. I'll be seeing you all in the comment section. We gotta thank our sponsors, FusionGamingOnline.com, my place to buy all my Magic singles, especially my Pauper singles. I'm addicted to Pauper at the moment. Mono Blue Fairies all the way. And deal of the week this week is save 15% off all Magic promos at Fusion Gaming Online. You need your survival of the fittest. There are promo fetch lands. Judge promo Force of Will, you know, that fancy thingamabob, Phyrexian Praetor thing. Chalice of the Void. Rewards promo Cryptic Command. You can get them all at FusionGamingOnline.com. This week, 15% off. But do not forget to use coupon code Nikachu at checkout for an additional 5% off all your purchases, and it supports the channel. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place for renting Magic cards online. You can play any format, including one-on-one Commander, anytime you want. And if you're tired of the deck that you're playing with, just send it back and rent a new one. The possibilities are endless when you're renting with Mana Traders. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 10% off your first 2 months using coupon code Nikachu_B2Q. Now back to you guys. Lucky Roll, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm feeling a lot better. Sometimes I eat something that makes it hard for me to sleep. What's today's topic? Hot takes on Commander. Okay, here's one. Kryptgenstein. Hot take. Cyclonic Rift is worse than fast mana and should be banned. Basically, you don't like anything that remotely resets the game. And you know those blue players, they're always up to something, playing at instant speed. And it's pretty devastating, because it's only bouncing everything that you don't have. The Cyclonic Rift, I mean, I know everyone's felt the pain of Cyclonic Rift, and, you know, everyone has to play it. It's one of those EDH staples every blue player needs. I don't know if it's the card that all blue players deserve, though. By the way, today's topic is if you have a hot take on Commander, bring it forward. How many of you think Cyclonic Rift should be banned? This might just turn into a big banning discussion. We want this card to be banned. We want this card to be banned. Is this even like a skillful card? Although, again, you get rid of that fast mana, it may not be so bad. Getting to 7 mana is hard. It's hard, even for a blue deck, unless it's mixed with green. Rift is one of those most overrated cards in Commander. I don't play it outside of blue. With the power creep, it's basically a time walk. Cyclonic Rift is fine when its caster proceeds to win soon after. Aha, so you don't mind the reset game cards so long as somebody can win relatively quickly afterwards. Cyclonic Rift is fine compared to fast mana, and it would be incredibly fair if you don't have the fast mana. Muffin of Fun. Actual hot take. Fast mana is fine. Removing it would just make the format slower and make green more powerful. It adds more color/diversity. So here's my question, Muffin of Fun, because I went over this. Why would green get more powerful? What would they have? Because if you're playing a card, for example, if you're playing Mana Dorks, let's say even Deathrite Shaman, which is a good Mana Dork, it can die to removal. It will get hit by splash damage when someone plays Supreme Verdict, which I do believe is still a card in Commander. Now let's say you want to ramp with something like Explore or Farseek, or I don't know what kind of ramp spells you want to play with. Wild Growth? No. Something Growth. Let's just look up Growth. See what shows up. Looking for a gold card. Okay, that was a mistake. Just stick with explore. You're basically tapping, you're going to tap your mana in order to get that card draw. So you're passing the turn in order to do that. People don't play removal. They will be much more inclined. Well, I mean, they have to. Everyone plays some sort of removal. I mean, if they don't play removal, then that's their fault. Nature's Lore. And by the way, this is supposed to be green's advantage. That they can spend mana to ramp into cards. Nature's Lore. Search your library for a forest card, put that card onto the battlefield, and shuffle. God, that's terrible. It's worse than Farseek. Farseek can get anything. Search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain. Oh, I see. If you have mono green commander, you actually need this one. You literally need to go find a forest. Can't be looking for plains, island, swamp, or mountain if you're mono green. Let's see. Hot take. Mono white has always been good, but the strategy hate bears is frowned on in many play groups. So, I mean, what are some typical... I should look up a Stax deck. Okay, what is Stax commander list? I actually don't know on what... Let's look up Winota Stax. No, okay. Mono white Stax. Mono white Stax. I'm on the hunt for mono white Stax. EDH Rec. I think you're right. I think mono white has been good. It's just that the strategy, no one likes to play against it whatsoever. Who likes playing against Stax? Exactly, nobody. It's basically crickets around here. Who likes playing against Stax? I thought so. Okay, how do I find a Stax? Stax combinations. I want mono white. Well, how do I find a deck list? Oh, this is just the cards. Okay, so these are the potential commanders. Gaida, Font of Hope. Alright, sure, why not? Do you think Eureka will ever get banned? Probably not. High synergy cards. Archon of Emeria, Spirit of the Labyrinth, Deafening Silence. Don't play more than one card, more than one card a turn. Aven Mind Sensor, Rule of Law, Thalia Garden of Thraben. I heard Draneth Magistrate. That's a pisser, because opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. Goodbye, Commanders. Yeah, they got some good stuff here. They got Esper Sentinel as like a Ristic Study. Good God, Grand Abolisher, Aura of Silence. What beats this? Brock, I don't dislike playing against Stax because it usually turns into arch enemy with everyone trying to kill the Stax player. They're playing a Stax card! Go get them! Go get them! Off to the races. Dash is affected by tax, still casting. White is genuinely good in EDH. Hate bears are insanely oppressive. Okay, River runs deep. Hot take. Selling a Black Lotus will get you money to get laid by tens? What the hell does that mean? Selling a Black Lotus. No one has Black Lotus. Okay, Extalior says Stacks are okay because it needs time to win and is just annoying. Not win end is just annoying, nothing more. Alex says, problem with casual commander is the casual players the casual players don't know how to play casually. I think a lot of them do. So some people are not empathetic to what the rest of the table might want. But at that, you know what? There's a simple solution to that. If you have someone in your play group that's like, why are you killing us so quickly? I mean, you just stop inviting them. I mean, isn't it as simple as that? And then when they start asking, hey, why are you inviting me to the commander games? Because you kill us too quickly. And you're no fun. I don't know, in my opinion, that's the All right, hot take. Rule 0 is fundamentally broken. No one has the same definition of what a casual deck is. It seems more like a crutch to avoid a hands-on approach to bans. 100% agree to that. I think for the most part, Rule 0 works because you just basically create your own environment, talking with everyone. Hey, how are we going to be playing this game? But it is definitely, it's like a... So it's sort of an all-around band-aid to Commander in general. At least from my outside perspective. You literally described my friend Kyle and what we did to him. Yeah, we're not gonna call you up anymore. I mean, if you know, Commander is still a community-based format, and your play group is everything, and if everyone in the play group isn't on the same... Ideally, if you're like more competitive players, then you play with more competitive players. If you're playing with like casual players, then you have to be playing more casually. Okay, Trevor says, hot take. Guy's touch goes in all my mono green decks. What the hell is this? Green enchantment. You may play an additional land during your turn if that land is a basic forest. Sacrifice Guy's touch. Add green to your mana pool. That's neat. Never heard of this card. It's very cheap too. It's like mini explore. Okay, then here's Beanpot that says, you know, if we had, and you know what? I think this is a good take. Hot take. There shouldn't be any banned cards in Commander. So if Rule 0 is so great, and maybe it's not, but let's say it's so great, there shouldn't be any ban cards in Commander. And of course, there are people who just ignore the ban list. They're like, who cares about the ban list? Play with your Golos, play with your Iona, play with Tolarian Academy. Actually, I don't think anyone's calling to play with a Tolarian Academy, but there's a lot of unreasonable cards on that ban list, and you can just play with your own ban list. This is why I bring decks varying in power. I don't mind my highest power deck unless the table demands it. Personally, for me, I would just slow play my deck. You know, I have like a Merfolk deck that can combo off with a few 2-card combos. And then if everyone's like, hey, we're playing, you know, all our decks are 1s and 2s, then I'll be like, okay, I'll just dirtle around for like 10 turns. And if the game goes on too long, then I'm going to combo kill you all at turn 20. So I don't personally, I don't feel the need to own multiple Commander decks. All I need to do is play at the pace that everybody else wants to play at. Chuck Norris says, hot take, EDH Rec has ruined EDH and has made the format too linear. But here's the thing, people are going to want to play competitive. Information is going to get out there, and there's nothing you can do about that. It's the old classic data thing. I mean, everyone's going to look for information. The game and the format's going to evolve naturally, but you can slow everything down by getting rid of the mana and force people to be playing on more of a curve, and in some ways maybe force people to play with more creature removal if somehow green just gets out of control with all that creature ramp. Barakat says, hot take, Golos and Emrakul should be unbanned. This was sort of a contentious card to get banned. It was like just like the easy 5-color commander. They probably shouldn't have had this stupid thing where it's 5 colors. Why do they even do that? That seems very irrelevant. I guess they were trying to force it to see play. Otherwise, it could have been just a hard 7 mana with the same ability, but the cost is you are now a colorless. You have to go with colorless commanders. And Emrakul, I don't even know what the point of banning Emrakul is. Like, is it one of those cards you cheat into play? I see this as a pretty terrible commander. It doesn't seem worth it. Even with all the fast mana, I don't even see Emrakul getting onto the battlefield. I guess that you just still have to cheat it in play with stuff like Sneak Attack or maybe that Ninja or whatever. Hot take, EDH is for ponies. It is a pony format, for anyone that knows what a pony is. That's a term only OG Nikachu fans understand. Golos has that funny belt with the flags to show he is a rainbow. He is a rainbow commander. Does he have a belt? Ah, he does have a belt. To be fair, competitive commander is an oxymoron. Not necessarily. Like, I think you can have competitive commander. Like, there's gotta be people who want to play to win. And maybe let me know which content creators are just all out, super primed, tuned decks to kill people. And that I see as genuine competitive commander. Although I do think that if you're playing competitive commander and then you start like rule zeroing to make things a little bit more like, I don't know, fair or watered down, you are... It like goes against the spirit of, you know, trying to play your decks at the highest level. Or to test them against the harshest competition. Soraka says, hot take, Iona is perfectly balanced and didn't deserve a ban. Well, this is just a feel-bads ban, right? Oh, Iona shield. It's not banned for power level. Although I have to say the effect is powerful. But it's banned because, you know, it shuts maybe at least one person out of the game. Or shuts like half your deck out of the game. Why do EDH players want anything banned when the point is to have fastest possible win? What's the difference from Flash Hulk combo and Thoracle combo? No, that's you got it wrong there, Love Voodoo. That is not the point of playing competitive. You are still going to try to win quickly as possible, but the games can be really repetitive and boring if games are like over on turn 1 or turn 2, and that's no fun for competitive players. We want we want the feeling, at least in my opinion, and I'm a competitive player in, you know, in the competitive formats, you want to be able to leverage your skill. If you're a good player, you want some room to leverage your skill, and people comboing off on turn 2 to 3 decreases your ability to leverage your skill. So I would if I was a competitive player, I absolutely would want Flash banned, because I don't want someone just comboing off instantaneously, doing a force of will check or a force of negation check on me. Deathbean, hot take, commander can be very toxic sometimes over the difference between casual and competitive. Yes, everyone has a different opinion. I mean, I honestly don't know what the genuine opinion is. Between the two. I read the discourse and it seems to be very blurred in between. Everyone has a different opinion. I think overall though, it seems like EDH is in a camp of like still a very social format. More on the social side than on like a hardcore proving, more of on a side of art than science. Hot take, partner changes should be reverted. I have no idea what that means, but sure. Bastaka. Flash created weird games where people could win over top each other at instant speed. Oh god, I'm gonna flash. No, I'm gonna flash. Wait up, hold up everyone, because I've got the flash. Hot take. Oops, where is this? Hot take. Multiplayer competitive formats just to create feel bad moments. If you're a competitive player, like, I wouldn't care. Honestly. I mean, like, Magic in general can create feel-bad moments. You don't draw enough lands, you get feel-bad moments. You draw too many lands, that's a feel-bad moment. I mean, if I'm in a competition, then that's it. And I lose. I mean, that's the game I signed up for. Isn't that right? Javier says, hot take. Extra turns are fun. Sure, for the person who has them. Oh, here's something a little bit different on another angle here. Kripkenstein, hot take, proxies are very fine, but don't proxy above the power level of your group. You shouldn't force others to match your proxied cradle. I hear this a lot. Like it seems like the main argument against proxies is that people just proxy the absolute best cards, and then at that moment, you can like overpower. I guess if you then overpower the group, you then now encourage everyone else to prox at a very high power level. There seems to be this, I honestly don't know what the answer to this is. Because I think you should be pro proxy in casual magic, you know, in non-tournament magic. But where do you set the limits? Is that like a rule 0 thing? Hey, okay, we can play with proxies, but you know, don't raffle stomp me. Is Gaia's Cradle really that? I mean, Gaia's Cradle is good. But which... Are there any super competitive decks that play Gaia's Cradle? I can't imagine that a hardcore competitive deck is making like a ton of creatures. Just casual players. Love says, I hugely agree with Kripkenstein. The Amazing Wally says, I've never been a big fan of EDH. I like 1 versus 1 because I know who to attack. In EDH, you make one move, the table gangs up on you, and you're out, or you run out of resources at the worst time. But that's the whole point of Commander. That is the extra layer of skill, is the political side to it. Or, you know, you can feign weakness early on in the game and get the rest of the table to gang up on the person who's more developed. So you have to be very careful when you deploy your resources. Can you protect yourself? Can you take 3-on-1 at that point? Or do you build up slow play your hand until you know, like, so that you don't attract too much attention, and to a point where you know you can protect your either combo or your board state when you do become the threat at the table. I mean, that's just the part. That's what makes the game. That's what makes the game different and interesting over one-on-one magic. Jay says, you don't really need a ton of creatures for Cradle to be good. At 2 creatures, it's already a better forest. Okay, true story. You sold me, Jay. You sold me. Amy Z, hot take. I'd like to see a competitive EDH tournament with all unsets legal. I can't find more or less here. Hold on. More or less. You know how you can make that happen, Amy? You just set up the prize fund and declare the tournament. I wish this card was a real card. More or less. It's 1 blue instant. Add or subtract 1. Or 1, the word 1 or the number 1 from a number or number word on target spell or permanent until end of turn. So you can like take 1 drops and turn them, 1 toughness creatures, make them 0. You can change the power and toughness on creatures. Wouldn't be good in competitive EDH, but anyway, that's the way I look at it. I like this card. Monster CC, hot take. We all spend way too much on colorful paper. It's probably true. But there are worse things that you can spend your money on. Exceliar says, in my play group, we allowed proxies, but all proxies had to be under 125 euros total. Ah, interesting way of policing it. Very neat. Cradle is god tier in elf decks. Yeah, that's true, but elf decks are vulnerable to just getting wiped out. Elf Ball is playable at CEDH. Even Cradle is good at all levels. Okay. If there is an elf CEDH deck, I'm sold. The Meep Kid, thank you so much for the super chat. Hot take, hot take, hot take, hot take. All right, thank you very much. Sadie Braun, opposite hot take. I absolutely hate uncards. Fun draft, but doesn't belong anywhere near constructed. Well, how often do people play uncards in Commander? Is that by default? I don't think so. Or maybe, I don't know. I don't try to play uncards. My play group doesn't play with any uncards. Bring back Mana Burn. Yeah, right. What would change if they brought back Mana Burn? Would that change anything? I don't think it would change much. Nathan says, I totally play in an unset CEDH tournament. That sounds dope. The more colors a commander has, the weaker it should be. Having access to more colors is upside, and that upside should be taken into consideration when designing new commanders. And you know what's the funny thing? You know what the funny thing is? That you would think that the downside is you could get hit hard by cards like, where is it? Sundering Titan. Yeah, that's what it is. Like, there is a way of balancing this out, that cards like Sundering Titan will hit the multicolor decks even harder. But instead, they're protecting the multicolor decks by, you know, banning Sundering Titan. I don't even know, I really don't understand why lands getting blown up is even such a big deal when you have when in theory, you guys play with so much artifact mana in the first place. Amy says, cold take, uncard ambiguity is a more confusing card than more or less. I am not familiar with the card. Okay, so Jay says, some things would change. Certain cards have been buffed by the removal of mana burn, Braid of Fire, whereas others have been super nerfed. Power Surge. Well, it's some things. Sirac also says, hot take, we need more end of the turn instant spells, anti-combo cards that just say F you, stop that. So, but like, who do you give that to? Can you give that to like non-blue players? I think this gives more power to blue, because I believe this is just almost exclusively a blue ability. Probably they could give it to white. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is given to more colors, but I think this is dominantly a blue thing. Oh, thank you very much for the super chat, Death Bean. First time catching you live, love your stuff. Hot take, we need more bans like Dockside, and check out the CEDH database for all the decks people run. Thank you very much. So like Dockside. But why? Why do you want to ban Dockside? Because it gives too much power to the red player? And why is it good in the first place? It's because people play with a lot of artifacts. Enter the battlefield, create X treasure tokens, where X is the number of artifacts and enchantments your opponents control. But what if they didn't have the mana crypt, the soul rings out? Then this card could essentially do almost nothing. It would be a very weak card very early on in the game, and maybe just remotely playable later on in the game. Non-blue end the turn cards with split second. That's possible. Yeah, it's a very blue mechanic. Kyle says a few cards would be worse with mana burn back, like Black Market, but overall wouldn't be that big of a deal. Yeah, bring Shahrazad back into EDH. I think the idea is to not let the game go on for forever, you know? Ooh, here we go. Javier says, hot take, Jessica's will is better than Dockside. I don't know what this is. So this is red 2 generic for a sorcery. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast this spell, you may choose both. Add red mana for each card in target player's hand. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. That is pretty good. And it's only one more it's only one more mana. Although you do not get to save the mana, right? Whoops. You guys can't see it. What have I done? There we go. Jessica's will. Red and 2 generic. If you control a commander, you may cast the spell. You may choose both. But you get to save the treasure tokens. They're all lotus petals. Dockside plus infinite blink is so cheap CMC-wise. Is blink really that good? Hold on, let's go back to Dockside. Yeah, you could repeat this thing, repeat this effect. Is there just not enough removal in this format? Just counter spells? Kyle Knotts. In white, you could do something like after the turn, player casts 3 spells and the turn as an enchantment. It fits white's fair aspect of the color pie. No, I mean, well, you already have stuff like that, like Rule of Law. Effectively, you play 1 spell and it ends your turn. Oh, I guess it does. You get to attack and stuff. So maybe there could be something like, if you play 2 spells, it ends your turn. Something to that effect. So it looks like Jessica's Will and Dockside Extortionist both have combo potential. Yeah, Bacon says Dockside isn't good if opponent has no artifacts, then they're already losing. I've been in a situation where I attacked with, what is it, Thada Adept? Is it Thada? Yeah, Thada Adele Acquisitor. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, search that player's library for an artifact card and exile it. Then that player shuffles his or her library. Until end of turn, you may play that card. They ran no artifacts, or like almost no artifacts. Like, I was looking for Soul Ring. I didn't see Soul Ring. I saw nothing. So my Thada Adele did nothing. That's how you counter that artifact stuff. That's how you counter it, but most people don't want to play with. Most people, they want to play with that artifact mana. I mean, I'm not blaming you. You have to. Says the ban list. Passionate Passion Fruit hot take. There should be a mass unbanning as to say that Rule 0 is good enough. Well, I would disagree, or a mass banning to fix the format. No, but I think you can go in both directions. You can have the 2 ban lists, the sane ban list where you balance the format out with bans, and then you can have the completely unhinged ban list where people just make up their own ban list, which I think a lot of people are already doing. Like, okay, so like getting back to the ban list, I have no problem with the Commander Rules Committee making like a ban list to cultivate a fun, fair format from their perspective, and I think they're doing a very good job. I mean, Commander is the most popular format in Magic, but I from another perspective think that they should, at least maybe the competitive players should band together and make their own rules committee to make a more balanced, fair, powered down format to leverage skill. And I think that same format would appeal to another type of casual player that doesn't want to get blown out of the water by super outrageously powerful cards. Jay says counterspells are card disadvantage for the caster. Only if you're playing with like Force of Will or Force of Negation. Kyle says the ban list exists as a base to make it so it is reasonable to bring a deck to a local game store and know that it will almost certainly be allowed. Yeah, I'm totally fine with that as well. Oh, here's a hot take. Play more lands. Yes, absolutely play with a lot more lands. People definitely do not play enough lands. This counts for tournament Magic as well. But, you know, it's easy to net deck for competitive Magic, but less so for, like, Commander. So people make, like, their own mana bases. If you have, like, 30 lands, and you can count some artifact mana or whatever as mana, but, like, you probably should be playing with more than 30 lands in your deck. 30 lands in a 99 card deck, that is way too low, generally speaking. What's the best counterspell? I would say Force of Will. Force of Will is just, it's free. And it counters anything and everything on anyone's turn. Is card disadvantage because you and one person go down 2 cards over the other? Oh, good point. But it's a necessary evil. Okay, I will admit that though. That's actually pretty good. I like that take. That's a nice take actually. I don't know if that's a hot take, but that's a take. Boulder with the huge super chat. Boulder's hot take. Only normies play Commander. Those afraid of competition play this lame multiplayer overly long format. Games can be quick. Get over it. Screw your precious lands. And then Boulder just going straight against the grain. But I will say one thing. Like, in any game, casual players dominate over everyone else. Only like 5% are super ridiculously hardcore. And you could say like the top 35% of, or no, not the top 25% are relatively competitive compared to the rest. So it's no mystery to me, or no surprise to me, that Commander is the most popular, because hey, people play mostly for fun. Most people play for fun. Yeah, counterspells are needed because it stops people from going infinite. So as much as you hate counterspells, you love it when someone's about to combo off and and everyone turns their head to the counterspell guy. You got a counterspell? Can you deal with this? And then when they go, no, and then it's like, ah, damn it. I was gonna do my thing next turn. I was gonna do my thing. Counterspells are more fun than discard, absolutely. Discard's terrible. I don't know. I'm assuming discard's terrible in Commander. It's really awful. Gotta pick one of 3 players. Play to win with fun. Bacon says card advantage works differently in Commander. I can agree with that. Absolutely, it will work different. Some cards scale way better than others. So the best form of card advantage is killing off one of the players. That's the best form of card advantage. Just go pachoo, pachoo, pachoo. That's my hot take. The best card advantage is killing off one of your 3 opponents. Oh, here's a really hot take. Some pleb hot take. The perfect number of players for Commander is 5 or 0. That doesn't make any sense. But 5 is a neat take. I don't think that's the norm. Javier says, Underworld Breach is the best red card in Commander. So what you're telling me is everyone's got their eyes on... What's it called? Everyone's got their eyes on the Extortionist, Dockside Extortionist, and not enough people have their eyes on Underworld Breach. And mind you, this is a very good card in competitive Magic. It's already banned in Explorer, Pioneer, Legacy. It is waiting patiently to get banned in Modern. Patiently. It will get there. Eventually, one day, sometime. It's just not there yet. John says, killing off a player with 7 cards in hand is a nice 8 for 0. Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. Those 8 for 0s. Deathbean agrees that Breach is super great. Kyle says, 5 players I will accept if each player plays a different OG Elder Dragon. Oh, so everyone, the classic Elder Dragon. Highlander. Back in the day, they just played with dragons as their commanders. Oh, here we go. The Bearded Commander. Commander players need to run more single target removal. Hey, I got my Pongifys in my Commander deck. I run, I think 4 or 5 pieces of creature destruction. I have Pongify, Rapid, Hybridization. What else do I have? I've got that one, it's like a blue and 1 generic. I think it exiles a creature, or maybe it destroys a creature, and then someone gets like a face down 2/2 creature. I don't know what else I run. I got my removal. I agree. You need to be prepared. People still try to play with creatures. Games with more than 4 players in Commander take eons to finish. Well, it depends on those players. And some people... You know, I have played with groups. They don't mind playing a 2.5-hour game. It wasn't a command... And by the way, it wasn't even a Commander game. It was just like 5 to 6 player free-for-all. But like, they really enjoyed just playing this ridiculously long game. They just make an evening out of it. And then I guess if you're super hyper competitive, maybe it doesn't matter because one of you will win really quickly. And then you just scoop it all up and play all over again. I as a competitive player, I don't mind having a bunch of fast games. Like, if it all goes to 3 to 4 turns, whatever, we just all scoop it up and play another one. You should run Resculpt. What is that? Exile target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 4/4 blue, red, and elemental creature token. I think I'm running better cards in this, though. But that looks good. I have to reevaluate my removal suite to see if this kicks something else out. Jay with the huge super chat. Do you have thoughts on the Magnus Carlsen cheating scandal? To put it very... I'm a chess master, so actually, and I've been following this thing very quickly. I don't want to derail my the discussion, but I think Carlsen is wrong, and I think the guy's playing fairly. The guy was very open. He said he cheated as a kid when he was 13 and 16, but he only did it in blitz games online, and he's been clean since. And I think he plays way too erratically to be cheating with a computer. But that's my take right now. Now back to the back to Commander. Actual hot take: Vendetta should be a staple in mono black decks. Won't you like kill yourself though? I know you have 40 life to work with, but still, destroy target non-black creature. It can't be regenerated. You lose life equal to that creature's toughness. Some of those commanders are enormous. On the other hand, it's still a 1-mana black removal spell that kills anything except non-black creatures. The more I'm thinking about it, I think you're right. This should be like a pretty staple card, especially if you're a competitive player. Soraka with the super chat. Thank you so much. When I got back into Magic, I made Zedru Group Hug. See, there's a lot of people who do not play to win. Blue, white, red, 1 generic, 2/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of permanents you own that your opponents control. You own your opponent. Oh, good God. So you give your stuff away, and then blue, white, red. Target opponent gains control of target permanent you control. All right then. Proof that not everyone is trying to win. Proof, hard proof, right there. Snuff Out is better than Vendetta. Hey, you can never have enough cards though, you know? It's not like you can play more than one Snuff Out in a commander deck. Snuff Out. If you control a swamp, you may pay 4 life rather than pay the mana cost. Destroy target non-black creature. It can't be regenerated. Whoa, my God, this is way better than Vendetta. Yeah, infinitely better. It's free, and it probably will cost you less life on average. Monster CC is coming out swinging, coming out with violence here. Hot take: your favorite commander sucks. Hey, I play Thassa God of the Sea. I have no delusions that this is not a tier 1 commander. But I'm going to play it anyway. It's more satisfying when I win with my commander. Beanpot. The best blue card in EDH is Psychic Battle. I doubt it. But let's take a look. Blue, 3 generic. Enchantment. Whenever a player chooses one or more targets, each player reveals the top card of his or her library. The player who reveals the card with the highest converted mana cost may change the target or targets. If 2 or more cards are tied for highest target, the target or targets remain unchanged. So this is just like mess with everyone commander. I was speaking in general, than specifically Thassa. Thassa is awesome. Why not Tatiova as a commander? Because I don't want to splash green. I like the purity of blue. Mono blue all the way. There's also Dismember, but, well, I don't know if Dismember is all that good in a black deck. Maybe it's fine. There's, like, big creatures in Commander, though. Hot take: Nikachu will do a deck tech of Thassa God of the Sea soon. When did you first start playing Magic? Back in like 1999. A long time ago. Gage says hot take: Infect is bad in Commander and should stay at 10. What the hell does that mean? Infect is bad at Commander. It should stay at 10. I can imagine Infect is pretty poor at Commander, because you have, well, I mean, you can kill someone, but it requires them to have no creatures to block or to kill this Glistener Elf, and I imagine you have to put some number of pump spells or ways of buffing up your Glistener Elf, and that's not ideal, but I don't know what that means to stay at 10. People want Infect raised to 20? Oh! Oh, I see. That's silly. Gotcha. Some pleb says, to be fair, if you did a Commander deck tech, it would probably get serious views. People like Commander content. Well, maybe it will see play in my new YouTube channel, Nikachu Plays MTG. So if you search that up, I think the first video will go out on Saturday. Although it'll be a repeat for all the Merfolk players out there. There'll be a little bit of Hex Mage content for a little while because that's all the hype right now. Soraka with the super chat. But I had 9 lives, Fractured Identity, Angel's Grace, Overloaded Cyclonic Rift combo to win the game. If the game goes too long, only got it once. Good for you. Erwin is like, what is this, lunchtime in MTG? I know, I'm very late today. By the way, all my takes for Commander, you don't have to believe in any of them, whatever. I'm just a hyper-competitive player, just looking on at Commander from, like, the side of competitive Magic. So, I mean, if you guys want to just throw my opinion in the garbage, that is totally fine. I have no... I don't know, I have no stake in this Commander community at all. I just find that the discourse in Commander is a little bit wonky, and I can totally understand why, you know, why one group of players is has a different mindset than the others. But in some way, everyone has to get along and find some way to coincide, because there's always going to be that mix of really casual players and really competitive players who really want to win. Redwood says, hot take, I prefer this time slot. Well, it's not going to be like that on any regular basis. So thank you very much for joining me today, though. Where's my... Oh, I'm already here. Where's my close-up? I was already here on the close-up. As usual, but usually we get together Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Be there or be square. Thank you so much for the super chats. I appreciate it. I love all the support for the channel, and it will keep Coffee and MTG going every single weekday. And thank you, everyone, for your discussion. Thank you so much for your hot takes, because you guys are what makes this show. Hot take, says Darth Vader Zim. 1 versus 1 Commander can be more fun than 4-player free-for-all. I think it's more competitive, so it is more tasteful to the competitive players one-on-one. But I think make sure you check out sponsors if you love the show. What happened? How long did this go? Yeah, we do have sponsors. Whatever. Yeah, okay, no sponsors today. It's too bad. Fusion Gaming Online. No, I did do the sponsors today. I got the sponsors. Oh, you almost gave me a heart attack. Yeah, if you love the show, also use the sponsors. It also supports the channel. It's all good. So thank you very much for being here today, as usual. Keep brewing those coffees. Got a nice coffee here today. And we'll keep brewing up the magic. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you at